Game of Thrones still sucks. Now we're dealing with Season 1, Episode 2, The Kingsroad, which was not quite as slow as the first episode, but still very little happened, and none of it was satisfying. This is a terrible, terrible show. It starts out with Jorah Mormont riding up to Daenerys as all of the Dothraki are riding by and trying to get her to eat and drink, which, after I was sold into sexual slavery, I really wouldn't want to be eating or drinking either. So far, the whole arc with the Dothraki is terrible. I want all of the Dothraki to ride into the sea and just be done with him. But he gets her to eat. They move on to Viserys, who tells Jorah that selling people into slavery shouldn't be a crime, and that he's a good man, because there's nothing wrong with slavery. So we have learned that he still sucks. He is terrible. Nobody wants Viserys to be king. Nobody wants anything but bad things for this guy. They cut to Tyrion. So far, the only likable character in the show is a alcoholic whoremonger who insults everybody he meets. And he is the best one. The single best character. Hates everybody, drinks all the time. But he meets with Joffrey and slaps him around, which is great, because Joffrey is terrible. I can't wait for him to die. I really, really just want everyone in this show to die. All of them. He goes in to have breakfast, talks to his brother and sister, the incestuous bastards. I don't even mind the incest. They're just terrible people. The only thing they've done that I've liked is throwing a little kid out of a window. But that kid was really bothersome. Then Cersei leaves, goes to talk to Caitlyn about their crippled child, and tells just the most endearing story about how kids die, and that's okay. What a cunt. I really wish Bran had actually died, though. It would save us a lot of Caitlyn sitting around moping and wringing her hands. I mean, I get it, she's a mother and it was her kid, but still. It's not moving our story forward. It's not making Caitlyn more likable. It's not making Bran more likable. Then Jon comes to say goodbye, and Caitlyn kicks him out because she is unlikable, and she hates Jon because she's not her kid, which would be understandable if it wasn't like 18 years later. Get the hell over it. 18 years. So it was a pretty pointless scene. Jon runs around saying goodbye to everybody, gives Arya a needle. So hopefully there'll be many stabbings in the future, specifically of Lannisters. I think Arya should stab more of them. And then there's the Great Exodus. They show them all going down the road. Jon says goodbye to Ned, who tells him he really is a Stark, if not in name, then by blood, which is probably a lie. And tells him the next time he sees him, he'll tell him all about his mother. And then they part ways. It cuts right to Robert and Ned having lunch, talking about their deep love of whoring, how they hate all of their responsibilities and should just ride off wenching. Which is great because it cuts immediately to an almost completely pointless rape scene. It goes from that right to Drogo raping Daenerys again. kind of gratuitously. She's crying, he's going at it, and then they cut away from them back to Robert and Ned. So it's a scene that really didn't need to happen, but I guess they figured second episode, second rape. Why not? Then they have Jon and Tyrion traveling and talking. Tyrion is about the 15th person to tell Jon Snow that going to join the Night's Watch is a terrible idea. And basically tells him that he's smarter than everybody else, which is mostly true. Back to Caitlyn and Bran. Caitlyn doesn't want to assume any of the responsibilities for Winterfell, so Robb steps up. Caitlyn decides, I still want to be useless. And then an assassin attacks him, and unfortunately fails to kill them both. Bran's direwolf saves them. I've never hated a wolf so much in my life. Just let them die. Let all of them die. And then Caitlyn goes searching around by where Bran fell, finds something, immediately assumes the Lannisters are completely responsible with no real proof, and decides, now I have to abandon Bran. I yelled at Ned for leaving. I've sat here moping. I've abandoned all of my responsibilities. But now, screw him. I'm gone. I'm leaving. Then more Daenerys, getting her wounds tended to because she's not used to riding. And another sex slave who was bought for her is talking to her, and she decides, I need to learn sex, so I can have some control over Khal Drogo and not just get raped all the time, which makes sense. I mean, any way out of this situation, anything that leads to me seeing less rape in this show is fine by me. It is, god damn, I hate this show. And then it cuts to the final scenes where we get to meet Sansa still wandering around being a stupid little twit. Meets up with Joffrey, who behaves terribly. They go for a walk. They come upon Arya and the Butcher's son practicing with their swords, and Joffrey goes full-on douche. Starts torturing the Butcher's son. Arya hits him with a stick. He goes after her with a sword and gets his ass kicked by a little girl because he sucks. What an idiot. They all get dragged before the king and queen. All of them behave terribly. The king does the only thing he's ever done that I liked and says, kids fight, let him go. Somebody brings up the wolf. They can't find it. Cersei's all like, oh, kill the other wolf. And Robert's like, well, yeah, the other wolf didn't do anything. Kill it. It's fine. And Ned doesn't try that hard to stop it because he is still a terrible parent. And after all these events, I don't know why he's still going to King's Landing with these people. They're all terrible, Ned. Go home. See your poor crippled boy. I hate you. I hate you so much. And then it ends with Ned killing an innocent direwolf and me wanting the Westeros apocalypse to come. I want them all to be swept into the ocean and die. Westeros could sink, and this show could be over. But it's not, and I'm sure something terrible will happen in the next episode, so I'm really looking forward to that. See you then.